Think rising oil prices have nothing to do with you just because you drive a gas car. Even Yadea, a brand people think has absolutely nothing to do with oil, has announced a price hike of over 300 yuan per electric scooter. From gasoline to plastics to clothing and various household appliances, everything is inextricably linked to oil. So how does oil travel from the wells of the Middle East all the way to the breakfast spot downstairs from your home? Today we're gonna break down the world's lifeblood, oil.
Music.
Compared to private car owners like us with limited fuel consumption, airlines are naturally the first to buckle under soaring oil prices. Fuel costs account for 25 to 30 of an airline's total expenses, so just 2 weeks into the conflict, giants like China Eastern, China Southern and Spring Airlines could no longer sit still. They have collectively raised fuel surcharges on international routes. Even if you rarely fly or take high-speed rail, you likely use logistics services like ride-hailing, food delivery and express shipping every day. Truckers can't afford fuel, and ride-hailing drivers are feeling the sting of costs. In the end, who foots the bill? It's passed down through the delivery fee of every takeout order, or added to the cost of every inter-provincial package. Plastics are also getting more expensive right along with oil, as these are almost all petroleum-based products. When oil prices rise, the cost of plastic raw materials follows, directly driving up packaging costs. And even if you drive an EV or ride an e-scooter daily, you can't escape the clutches of oil. Many people think I'm riding an electric bike now, so it doesn't matter to me if gas hits 10 yuan a liter. But Yadea already announced a uniform increase in factory prices across all categories on April 1st. Why would the price of an electric car which doesn't even use gasoline also rise? Because its tires require synthetic rubber, and its body and components need plastics. Meanwhile, logistics, packaging and upstream chemical feedstocks all tied to oil. In this global supply chain, no one is truly immune. While we might be able to cut back when travel costs rise, the passive inflation on our dinner tables is simply unavoidable. This is because modern agriculture is essentially a system highly dependent on fossil fuels. In recent years, Yunnan cuisine and hot pot restaurants have popped up everywhere, and food delivery services use oil quite liberally, largely because oil has been so affordable. Over 80 of China's soybeans are imported, and after these soybeans are crushed for oil, the remaining soybean meal serves as the core feed for chickens and pigs. Now, here is the crucial point. Soybeans are extremely dependent on oil. Fertilizers and pesticides come from petroleum, and the giant cargo ships transporting them cannot run for a single day without heavy fuel oil. During the first 3 weeks of the recent Middle East conflict, the Brazilian agricultural sector was the first to feel the squeeze of diesel costs. As a major global producer, Brazil relies on imports for about 30 of its diesel. So when oil prices fluctuate, costs across farms and logistics chains surge accordingly. Once the prices of basic commodities like soybeans and corn start to rise, it triggers an inflationary tsunami that sweeps across every dinner table. As a result, even countries that seem to have little to do with oil are absolutely terrified. Take Australia, for example. Its energy self-sufficiency once exceeded 100, a classic case of being resource-rich. Yet in the face of a real crisis, they discovered their fuel self-sufficiency was a pitiful 20. Because years ago, in the name of environmentalism and efficiency, they pursued the industrialization. By shutting down all refineries, they become suckers who sell crude only to buy back finished products. However, our country has long had a backup plan in place, and by early 2026, China's total oil reserves will reach 12 to 15 billion barrels, enough to sustain the entire country's consumption for several months. Combined with reserve adjustments and diversified import sources, plus recent efforts to reduce soybean meal and promote alternative feeds, our domestic capacity to buffer soybean price shocks is also strengthening. That's how we've managed to keep our meat-eating freedom firmly secured. As the old saying goes daily, life is all about clothing, food, housing, and transport. And clothing actually ranks even higher than food. You can put down your phone now and take a look at the clothes you're wearing. Besides cotton and wool, the rest are likely polyester, nylon, or spandex. These are all made from synthetic fibers refined from petroleum. In this past March, when oil prices skyrocketed, upstream chemical raw materials went absolutely crazy. Some categories saw double-digit increases in a single week. We wear less in summer, so the impact might be smaller for now. But this autumn, if you want to buy an affordable windbreaker, it might cost you an extra 100 yuan or more. Even the spiritual sustenance of young people hasn't been spared. For designer toy companies like Pop Mart and Miniso, the PVC and ABS plastic dolls they sell originate from crude oil. When oil prices tremble, these non-essential joys become luxuries. Speaking of which, many of you might be feeling a bit hopeless. Are we just being held at the mercy of the Middle Eastern oil tycoons? But looking on the bright side, every crisis actually forces us toward a more hardcore way out. China's current overall energy self-sufficiency rate remains around 80%, far above the extreme fragility seen in Japan and South Korea, especially Japan, with an energy self-sufficiency rate of only 16. Moreover, we hold two incredibly powerful trump cards. The first is new energy. By the end of 2025, the national ownership of NEVs will have reached a staggering 43.97 million units. It's filling the streets do more than just save a few dollars in fuel. They are tangibly reducing the nation's dependence on imported oil. The second trump card is the aforementioned and reassuringly massive full energy and chemical industry chain. We not only possess the world's largest energy and chemical industry, but our industrial chain integrity also leads the world. In extreme times, while others are left helpless, we can rely on our robust industrial chain to weather the storm that is our confidence. Ultimately, every conflict in the Middle East serves as a reminder of a harsh reality. In this era of globalization, no island can stand alone or unaffected. As long as you eat, dress and shop online, even if you just ride a shared bike, you are indirectly paying the toll for a war thousands of miles away. Surreal, isn't it? Distant war can indeed make us pay dozens of yuan more at the gas pump, raise the price of milk tea by a few bucks, and make buying a winter coat feel a bit more expensive. But this is why seeing the nation go all out on new energy, build strategic reserves and secure the full industrial chain, we feel truly reassured, because in this invisible energy game, all the grand narratives ultimately come down to that bowl of glistening fried pork on an ordinary person's table, and that reasonably priced down jacket in the closet.